Hello, everybody, and welcome into Palmetto Sports Daily. A lot going on this afternoon, including SEC Media Day down in Tampa. That's why I'm flying solo this afternoon here from Charleston, as Rick Henry, Carmine Jamay, and Ella all down in Tampa with South Carolina, hearing from Shane Beamer and the Gamecocks players as they get ready to kick off the 2026 season in just a couple of weeks. Obviously, a lot of questions for South Carolina coming into this year. Shane Beamer's seat maybe as hot as any coach in the entire country, so a lot of questions on what he's going to be doing this year, if he's going to make it through this whole season, if he can help turn this Gamecocks program around this season and hold on to his job going into 2027. Those questions and much more answered now by Rick, Carmine, and Ella.
And greetings from Tampa, Florida, and SEC Media Days. Rick along with Ella and Carmine. The Gamecocks are making their rounds, coming off a 4-win season.
Yeah.
A lot of questions for South Carolina. Hope they have a lot of answers, too.
Well, Rick, this is the place to find them because it's all about talking. We're going to be talking about them talking. And right now, I think what we should be talking about is a bounce-back season for the Gamecocks and a make-it-or-break-it situation possibly for head coach Shane Beamer coming into his 6th year and coming off his worst year when you thought things were trending in the upward direction when they beat Clemson at the last second at Memorial Stadium 2 years ago. Lenore Sellers got that nickname, La Heisman, and you thought they were just a few plays away from making the college football playoff. They would have beaten LSU early in the year. They probably would have been in the playoff, but that didn't come true. And last year, a lot of things fell apart, especially the offensive line, finishing in the bottom 3 in the SEC in total yards, in rushing yards, and in points. And then they fell short of the bowl game. So I'm interested to see how they plan to bounce back with the new offensive coordinator and new offensive line. But this guy, the offensive coordinator, Kendall Briles, do you think he's as big of a guru and can make as much of an impact as people think? Because it seems like a lot of people have high hopes for what he's bringing in.
Yeah, well, the Gamecocks certainly hope so because the offense basically has really struggled the past couple of seasons. And Ella, what Shane Beamer is looking for and what he really needs is some consistency. His first 2 seasons, they went to bowls. 3rd season, missed out. Then 2024, fantastic season. Came within a whisker of making the playoff, and then last year 4 wins. So this year, I'm thinking he needs to elevate it into the 7, 8, 9 win area for the fans to go, okay, we've got it turned around.
Yeah, I mean, that's the only situation that has to happen here. I mean, everyone's talking, he's on the hot seat this year. You got to see those 7, 8 wins, hopefully a bowl game for him. And it seems like you were saying, Carmine, all the right moves are being made to fix the situations that were going on last year. 14 guys coming in for the offense. Hopefully that'll help him out. Avoid 43 sacks on Lenore Sellers. When you have such a talented quarterback who can run the ball, he's a dual threat, he can throw it, but he can't when he's getting sacked 43 times. So the changes are being made, and hopefully we'll hear today how that's going to help us.
Yeah, we'll see what the new coaches can do as far as getting them out of that muck that they were in last year. You have a new O-line coach, you've got a new offensive coordinator, and then the defense. The defense has played pretty well. Dylan Stewart coming off an injury. They need to have not just a good year, but a great year from him as well.
Yeah, and you were talking with David Cloninger, the legendary sports writer, about how in years past some of the Gamecocks defenses have kept them in it, but the offense hasn't been good enough. And it seems like that was a lot of the story last year, where they had chances to beat Alabama, almost won that game, should have beaten Texas A&M. With that massive halftime lead, 30 points that they gave up. So the record on paper, I don't think was as indicative of as close they were to winning a lot of those games. Right. But Rick, they got another one of the toughest schedules in the country again against, of course, in the SEC, it means more. It just means more here. But against 4 of their conference opponents, those will be 4 teams that made the college football playoff last year. So they got to rise to the occasion once again with this incredibly tough schedule.
It's the SEC. Everyone has a tough schedule. You can't whine about it because everyone is in the same boat, so to speak. At least they start off with their 2 non-conference games, and now you have 9 conference games, plus they have Clemson. That's 10 games against Power 4 teams.
Yeah.
And so the games that you are favored to win, you got to win them. and then you got to beat a team or two that you're not supposed to put you in position to have a winning season.
Yeah, I think I like the idea of that start of the schedule, kind of like you mentioned, those 2 non-con games to hopefully get their confidence back a little bit heading into the season. When you only win 4 games, you hopefully can start off the season 2-0 and get a little bit of a confidence boost going.
Yeah, and I would love to see this new running back room, Rick, because they were right at the bottom of the SEC in rushing yards per game. Even though they brought in a guy who was almost my age last year, who was transferring in, with a 6th year as college eligibility. But I'm hoping to see that because you remember Rocket Sanders a couple seasons ago with that 2-pronged attack with Lenoris and Rocket. And if that run game's going, the defense is playing well, that's just a good recipe for successful football. And then Lenoris airing it out to Nick Harbor, 2nd year of only doing football, no more track. I'm interested to see the leap he takes, and he's here at SEC Media Days too, so we'll hear from the big man himself.
Yeah, again, talking season, moving it into high gear right here at SEC Media Days, and we'll be talking about the Gamecocks and everything else going on this week for days and weeks to come because we're right on the verge of starting a new season. All right, that's going to wrap it up for the Palmetto Sports Daily crew in Tampa.
All right, thanks so much to Rick, Carmine, and Ella there in Tampa. We're going to have much more from South Carolina at SEC Media Days in the coming days as well here on Palmetto Sports Daily. But we are just getting going. We've got more Media Days to talk about after the break, including the Citadel and the SoCon and South Carolina State in the MEAC. We'll tell you where they're predicted to finish in the preseason polls coming up next. Welcome back into Palmetto Sports Daily. Obviously, we talked about the SEC Media Days down in Tampa and just a sprawling event that is over the course of pretty much a week before they'll release the preseason predictions. Not the case for the MEAC, as they had their media day in Baltimore this afternoon. Their preseason predictions came out last night in South Carolina State, coming off 2 straight trips to the Celebration Bowl, including an HBCU national championship last year. They are once again the favorites in the MEAC in the preseason polls. The Bulldogs picked to finish first in that preseason poll that was released last night, followed by North Carolina Central, Delaware State, Morgan State, Norfolk State, and Howard. That is the projected finish in the MEAC this season. Jordan Franklin, South Carolina State linebacker, was named the preseason defensive player of the year. So a lot of good stuff coming back on defense for the Bulldogs as well, because he is joined on the preseason first-team defense by 3 defensive linemen, Joshua Barker, Kevon Chisholm, and Jordan Dollard, all making that list, as did Shamari Reed as a defensive back. And on the offense, Tyler Smith, the running back, is joined by a pair of offensive linemen, James Rederick II and Moses Umoran, also an offensive lineman for SC State this year. In the first-team offense. So a lot of good things expected for SC State this year. We're going to hear from Chennis Berry coming up later this week as they held their media day up in Baltimore today. Now, over at the Southern Conference, they held their media day up in Spartanburg today. They released their preseason poll and released their preseason all-conference teams earlier this morning. We'll start off with the Citadel. And once again, not a lot expected from the Bulldogs this year. They are picked to finish 9th in the preseason poll out of 10 teams in the SoCon this year. The good news for the Cid, they have the preseason first-team quarterback in Quentin Hayes. Big season for him last year, kind of splitting snaps, but when he did get in, he was electric a lot of times, both on the ground and through the air for the Cid. Big throw you see right there in the win over VMI. He is joined on the first-team offense for the preseason by Tyler Higgins-Hill on offensive line for the Bulldogs. And then on special teams, Tommy Legerio, the former Wofford long snapper, an alumni from Bishop England here in the Low Country, he is on the first team for special teams as well. On the second team, the Citadel is joined. Nope, they got no one on the second team as I'm looking through. So still, having the first-team quarterback coming back, that is a big deal for the Bulldogs. Now, of course, 2 teams in the upstate, also part of the SoCon as well, and they were meeting with the media this afternoon also. Start off with Furman. They are picked to finish in 6th place in the SoCon preseason poll. And a few guys on the all-conference teams for them as well, starting off with Joshua Stoneking, a defensive lineman. He is the preseason defensive player of the year for the Paladins and for the SoCon in general. He's joined on that first team by Raleigh Herbert. Also on the second team, there's Chris Luna on offensive line for Furman. And then on the defensive line, Demetrius Baldwin, Eliu Lipscomb, and defensive backs A.K. Burrell and Josh Tarver as well for Furman. And then, of course, there's Wofford. The Terriers, they're picked to finish in 7th place this season. They got 36 votes from the SoCon preseason poll. Picked to finish 7th, just ahead of Sanford, the Citadel, and VMI. I should mention Mercer is the favorite to win in the preseason to take first place in the conference this year. They got 6 first-place votes, followed by Tennessee Tech with 3 and ETSU with 1. As for Wofford, not a lot of representation for the Terriers on the first-team preseason all-conference squad. Eli Campbell, the defensive back, is the only one on the first team for the Terriers this year. He is joined by Gerald Modest on the second team at running back and Reggie Houston on the offensive line. Then Ramon McCullough and Wyatt Ward, along with Sam Spence, the kicker, on the second team all-conference team going into the preseason. So not a lot expected out of any of the South Carolina teams in the SoCon this year, but we are excited to hear from them. And I know Caroline Soro is there over at SoCon Media Day today. We're going to hear from hopefully the Bulldogs, the Terriers, and the Paladins coming up tomorrow here on Palmetto Sports Daily. We've got more to come here after the break. We're going to hear more from Dabo Swinney from ACC Media Day. That's coming up next. Welcome back into Palmetto Sports Daily. Now, obviously, a lot of the attention is down in Tampa right now at SEC Media Day, but there was still talk from ACC Media Day last week in Charlotte. And, of course, Clemson, a lot of the eyeballs on them as Dabo Swinney going into maybe one of the most critical years of his coaching career at Clemson, coming off one of the worst seasons he's had, the definitely worst record they've had since 2010, and just really not in contention for an ACC championship, definitely not for the college football playoff or anything like that. So now pressure kind of on Dabo Swinney coming into this year, and you can see that he's brought in some new assistant coaches, brought Chad Morris back as the offensive coordinator for his second stint with the Tigers. The talk the entire offseason as far as the offense has been Chris Vizina getting the start at quarterback, and now as they went into ACC Media Day, we're really not sure if that's the case. There's some of the guys who've been below Vizina that have been playing pretty well over the course of the spring and the summer, and they kind of making their case to get some playing time as well. It's a scenario we've seen at Clemson several times over the years, where whether it was Trevor Lawrence kind of pushing Kelly Bryant or Deshaun Watson trying to push his way into the starting lineup. So it's something we've seen before, but I don't know if this Clemson team really has the upside that those Clemson teams have. So I'm not sure how quick Dabo Swinney's going to be to pull the trigger once we get into that season. But here's what Dabo had to say at ACC Media Day in his one-on-one talk with Carmine Jammet.
Here with the 2-time national champ, 9-time conference champ, and the most wins in ACC history. Coach, sometimes you got to remind people because of all your success. But last year we were sitting here, top 5 team in the country. This year more of an underdog role, not as high of expectations. What have you embraced about surprising people, not yourself, but some outside expectations and exceeding those this year?
Yeah, I mean, we earn that. I mean, you get what you earn. I mean, but at the end of the day, it's you just said it. I mean, if it was about what people predicted and what they said, we'd have won the national championship last year and won this league. But, you know, we got what we earned. So, same thing. It's not about what people predict or say either. If they say you stink, it's about what you do. And so we're just focused on doing.
And one guy who's not here, first time without bringing a quarterback since 2019. You've said Christopher Vizina, your QB1, but Tate Reynolds giving him a good challenge. What have you enjoyed most about that quarterback battle and how it's inspired the team to compete as well?
Well, you know, I mean, obviously we finished the spring. Tate was in a 4-person battle to figure out who was going to be 2. And so the last week of spring, he kind of separated there. And so we came out of spring with 2 clear-cut guys. And so, man, those guys are amazing. They're both great leaders. CV's been awesome. He really has. It's been fun to watch him kind of find his voice in this role that he's worked his way into. But it's also been fun to watch this kid Tate say, all right, I've won that battle. Now let me set my sights and let me go see either beat him out or make him better. One of the two. So it's going to be fun to watch.
And I know you guys have a history with LSU, of course, last year, but also Lane Kiffin, you guys going up against each other when he was offensive coordinator at Alabama, now head coach at LSU. What's your relationship like with him, and what do you think about his coaching style and the career he's had as well?
I mean, his career speaks for itself. I mean, you don't get the type of jobs that he's had by being a bad coach. I mean, he's obviously He probably could have had any job out there. You know, he had a bunch of people trying to hire him, so that speaks for itself. We've texted, you know, from time to time over the years, but Lane's done an awesome job, and look forward to competing with him. It'll be an unbelievable night, you know, in the Valley there in Baton Rouge. I mean, don't get any bigger than that. Game day, all that stuff. 7:30, so should be a heck of a game.
And last one for you, Coach. You gave me a big challenge last year when we were teaming up for the first year of the Coach Cast, breaking down the game tape, Monday night being Clemson night for Clemson All Access. You said, show up ready and bring it.
Everybody's going to expect you to bring the juice, man. Like, show up ready and bring it.
Oh, okay.
That's what everybody's going to expect.
I'll be ready, Coach.
It's gonna
I feel like Cade Klubnik getting ready to head out there in the huddle.
It's going to be awesome, man.
What's your best way to coach me up now for year 2 of us being together? The honor of my career, really, so far, to break down that tape with you after every game.
Yeah, let's have more wins. All right,
Okay.
Let's break down more wins. That's the main thing. So, you know, hopefully, I'm looking forward to having a lot more fun post games with you than what we had last year. That's for sure. But just same thing. Just show up, be ready. All right, be ready to roll, and let's see if we can get back in the mix in 26.
That sounds great. And love that you ended it with a rhyme, Coach. Thanks for the time.
There you go.
All right. For Dabo Sweeney, I'm Carmine Jame for Palmetto Sports.
I feel like Dabo stopped just short of completely blaming Carmine for the problems they had in 2025. But I think that's one of the things I appreciate about what Dabo said when he went to Charlotte for Media Day last week, was that he admitted that last year they were just not a good football team. And it's something we all saw. And, you know, Dabo was kind of reluctant to go there during the season, but he admitted this year they weren't a very good football team. They didn't have really any right to be, you know, having the kind of expectations they had on them going into that season. That's something he understood. But the problem I might have with what he was talking about is he's leaning a lot on what this team has done in the past, all the championships they've won, the great players they've had. You know, he's surrounding himself on his coaching staff with former players and former coaches who are coming back now, like Chad Morris as the offensive coordinator. So that could be a problem for Dabo Sweeney going forward as he tries to get this Clemson team back on track and this program to where it was, you know, 4 or 5 years ago. We're going to be back with more here on Palmetto Sports Daily coming up right after this. Welcome back into Palmetto Sports Daily. We wrap things up today with hockey, where the ECHL in the middle of giving out a lot of their postseason awards still for franchises and executives and that kind of thing, as we are just a couple of months away from starting off the 26-27 season. One of the big awards they still have to give out is Mascot of the Year. And the defending champion from the Allen Americans from last year, of course, up in the upstate, Stomper the Rabbit from the Greenville Swamp Rabbits has been looking to win this award for several years in a row now, and he's just come up short. Carmine Jame thinks he has what it takes to get Stomper over that hump and get him to win that award this year. Here's what Carmine had to do with Stomper earlier this week.
During my 3 years at the station, I've had the honor of interviewing the biggest sports stars in South Carolina, including Gamecocks national champion Dawn Staley and Clemson national champion Dabo Sweeney. But today I'm more nervous for an interview than I've ever been before, because I have to hold a local legend accountable for not winning a championship.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming to Stomper's ECHL Mascot of the Year campaign press conference. We will take questions. We'll start in the back.
Stomper, thanks for the time. 2 years ago, you finished second in Mascot of the Year voting, but last year you finished in 4th. Why are your Rabbit results trending in the wrong direction?
Stomper says respectfully he pleads the 5th. I don't think he knows what that means, though.
Well, if we're going that route, let me bring this up. After your last loss, you blew off the post-campaign interview with our Palmetto sports reporter, Ella Grogan.
Stomper, please, just one question. Would you have a comment? Stomper, please. Stomper, please, what do you have to say about your actions?
Sorry.
Stomper.
We'll catch you soon, sorry.
Have you since reflected on your reckless Rabbit reaction?
Stomper's response is,
Stomper, step outside.
Stomper, you're not going to win Mascot of the Year if you keep acting like a rebellious rabid rabbit.
You have to be a hare that makes people care.
That really means a lot, Stomper. We accept your apology.
Because of your hop in the right direction, I'm going to dangle a carrot of a question out in front of you. Just make those voters take a bite. Stomper, why do you deserve the fans' vote to help you turn things around from finishing second, then fourth, to now hopefully first?
He hopes that he has proven to the people of Greenville and Swamp Rabbit fans everywhere that he loves them, he loves entertaining them, and he hopes that they will show him the same love so he can continue to prove that he is the most dedicated, hardworking, and lovable mascot in the game.
With Stomper's new hoppin' attitude, I think he'll win it all this year.
I hope so.
Third time's the charm.
What are we doing here? That was unbelievable. Great job by Carmine and Ella, even though they let Stomper off the hook. I think as journalists, we can all say that, you know, he avoided the questions last year and they just let him off the hook. A quick apology and they just let him go on their way, and he's got their support. So I'm a little disappointed in what Carmine and Ella did. You know, you got to hold the guy accountable. You know, he deserves that. And I mean, if we're being honest, there's a chance he's not even the best ECHL mascot in the state. I mean, Cool Ray, right over here at the North Charleston Coliseum, is way more deserving of this award. So I think Stomper's got some work to do. And, you know, Carmine and Ella just didn't help him out there at all. But hopefully we'll hear from them a little bit more tomorrow on this just disaster of a story. We're going to hear more from Shane Beamer and everyone else at SEC Media Day tomorrow as well. That's going to wrap it up for Palmetto Sports Daily. Everyone have a great rest of your day.